Weather impact alert continues this evening. That severe thunderstorm warning that I was just showing you here in the Weather Center, just like that, has prompted a tornado warning. And again, this warning is in place through 6 o'clock. You can see that polygon where we do have this tornado warning. We still have the severe thunderstorm warning, but within that, again, we're seeing some weak rotation, potentially enough produce a weak tornado. Again, tornado warning has just been issued in the last couple of minutes. And again, this lasts through 6 o'clock. These are the type of storms, again, you need to take seriously as we do kind of put it on radar for you. You can see it. It's going to be right here. That is the heart of this storm. Again, north of Ellicottville, making its way towards Arcade. Again, take cover, Arcade. This is where this storm is going to be moving. It is lifting to the north and east at about 40 miles per hour. Again, not only dealing with some heavy rain, potentially straight line winds that are gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour. That in itself is potentially enough to do some damage. We're also seeing some frequent cloud to ground lightning, but as I put the velocity on there for you, now it is actually weakened here in the last frame, but we can see if it will actually try to pick up here as we go through the next few minutes. But as we do kind of look in right along the 219 here, now what we're looking at, where we have the green, that is air moving towards the radar. The radar is located here in Buffalo. So green represents wind that is flowing towards the radar site. Red represents wind that is flowing away from the radar site. So where we have that red meet the green, that's where we have that couplet again, just made its way across 219, lifting north and east, and then generally kind of heading towards that general Arcade direction. As we travel around, because that's not the only active weather that we are seeing here on this Monday afternoon, also dealing with some really nasty thundery downpours, just moving back into the downtown Buffalo, but especially here across some of the north towns, the southern edge of Grand Island, definitely dealing with some heavier rain through the Tonawandas, Amherst, even pushing into Niagara County. Again, all of this is associated with that cold front that we've been warning you about, even going back to last week, talking about this cold front and ultimately its arrival right around parade start time. And I know it's not the greatest timing. Now, the good news, once this front, again, does make its way through here over the next hour to hour and a half, there's nothing behind it, so conditions will settle back down here as we get further into this evening. But again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning that has been issued into northern Cattaraugus County, deep southern Erie County, pushing into extreme southwestern Wyoming County, and even portions of Allegheny County. This warning was issued at 5:33. It does continue through 6 o'clock, so we still got a good 23 minutes here where we're going to be tracking this tornado warning. We also still have this severe thunderstorm warning. Now that continues through 6:30. So again, as we do get back to the radar here, and you can really see the communities that are kind of under the gun. We showed you that velocity where it crossed the 219, so it would be right here where we do have some of that weak rotation. Again, just passed over the 219. Again, in northern Cattaraugus County, this is the storm. It's going to be heading towards the general Arcade area, Yorkshire here, as we go through the next 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see if this kind of rotation either holds together or continues to weaken. As we do I want to throw the velocity back on here for you. And again, what we're looking at here is wind direction. Winds that are heading towards the radar site, that's the green. Winds that are heading away from the radar site, that's the red. So what we're looking at here is right here. It's where the red meets the green. That's where we have that couplet, a weak rotation, at least in the atmosphere, where even radar is picking up that circulation. We call that a mesocyclone. And again, that's the circulation there. And we'll continue to track that as well as we do go through the next 20 or so minutes. So again, here it is, the latest radar imagery showing you the cell that does have a tornado warning with it.
Danny, I got a quick question.
Yeah, go for it, Scott.
The folks that are watching right now, that are seeing this on TV, it happened about 6 minutes ago.
Yes.
What should they do right now if they are in that area where there is a tornado warning? What should they do now?
If you're within this polygon, this tornado warning, and especially upstream, that's where you need to take shelter. You need to find an interior room away from any windows. I know many times it's easy to head outside and try to get video. Only do that if you can do so safely. Your best bet, again, find an interior room. Lowest level is safest. That's not always the case as far as getting to that extremely lowest level. So if you don't have a basement, at least that first floor. And again, find an interior room away from any windows. Let this storm pass overhead. Again, it's moving very quickly. It's moving at about 40 miles per hour. So one, it's going to come on you very quickly, but it's also going to pass overhead fairly quickly. So again, if you are just tuning in, getting back to the warning here, we have this tornado warning which was issued about 10 minutes ago. And again, it continues through 6 o'clock within this polygon here. We were just mentioning if you're in it, that's where you need to be smart, taking shelter, finding that interior room. As we do put the radar back on there for you, it's right here. It's this part of the storm cell. Again, this is very focused here. It's not a large rotation, but it's a very focused rotation we're actually seeing out of this storm cell. Again, just crossed over the 219 here in northern Cattaraugus County, and it's lifting to the north and east, heading towards Arcade here over the next 20 minutes. As I do put our velocities back on there for you, again, we still have this rotating couplet. The storm itself is much larger, but it's right here. Again, very focused pinpoint where we do have a little bit of that rotation where potentially we have not gotten any reports of a tornado, but at least the radar is showing us the potential for one to potentially be on the ground. Now, again, I want to talk about the rest of Western New York as well, because this hour, it's an active one. There's a reason why we put that weather impact alert out there. Look at some of the heavier rain that is making its way through the Buffalo metro. Thundery downpours, to say the least, picking right back up there for, yes, that Dingus Day Parade. Definitely deal with those thundery downpours, and then stretching through the north towns, the Tonawandas, Amherst, up into Niagara County. But again, as I do put this into motion, you can kind of see what's happening. We have a culvert that's swinging in right now, helping to fuel these showers and storms. Once it does move through, though, over the next hour, behind it, a whole lot of nothing. So things will be settling down. But again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning which has been issued. Now, luckily, again, with the last couple of radar updates, the signature that we have seen when it comes to that rotation, a little bit weaker, but nonetheless, we still have this tornado warning. It has actually been just updated here. You can kind of see that polygon a little smaller. It's shrinking in coverage, and that's because where we are seeing that rotation, it is very, very focused here. But again, we still have a severe thunderstorm warning in place through 6:30, and this tornado warning within that through 6 o'clock. So as I kind of dive back in, and whether or not we have a tornado out of this or a severe thunderstorm, 60-mile-per-hour winds, that's about the equal to that of a weak tornado. So whether it's straight line winds potentially doing some damage or a weak tornado, it really doesn't make a difference. In fact, right there, you see that little feature right here? We're no longer really seeing a lot of that rotation signature, but now we're beginning to see what we call a bow echo. Right there, you see how this storm is bowing out right there? What that's telling me is we have some good surface winds out of this, potentially damaging wind gusts. And again, it would be right there, the leading edge, right at the leading edge of that little bow echo that we are tracking here. As I kind of put the velocities on there for you, notice while we do still have some of that red and green showing up that are fairly close, notice the green, not as bright, which means the airflow towards the radar direction, not as strong, and the reds aren't as dark either. So again, that rotating signature here that we were picking up, still there. We still have a little bit of weak rotation, but it is just that, just weak rotation at this point. But nonetheless, we do still have this tornado warning in place. So we'll continue to come at you with wall-to-wall coverage here. Severe thunderstorm warning also in place. That has just been updated as well. And you can see, again, we're not talking about all of Western New York where we're dealing with the severe weather. It is primarily, again, the southeastern corner here of Erie County, in and around Arcade, stretching into northern Cattaraugus County, and the extreme southwestern corner here of Wyoming County. As I do put the radar back on there for you, again, you can see that cell right there where whether or not we have some of that weak rotation because of that tornado warning, or potentially 60-mile-per-hour winds because of the severe thunderstorm warning. Definitely a storm to take seriously. So again, if you are upstream, especially heading towards Arcade, these are the areas, these are the communities you want to take shelter. Again, do not take this storm lightly. And I know the easiest thing to do is you want to get outside and take those videos. It is so easy to do. Your best bet, because these storms, again, are moving so quickly, and just to find that interior room, and you will continue to keep you updated here. Again, there's the latest velocities, not quite as intense, but nonetheless, still picking up some of that rotation. Now, as we do look back at the north towns here, northern Erie County, I mean, look at some of the heavy rain that is currently making its way through. Definitely some ponding on the roadway. So even in and around Buffalo, if you're thinking about heading out, maybe just hold it off for about another 15, 20 or so minutes, because that's about how long this is going to last. And once it clears, for the most part, we'll be drying out here as we do head into this evening. We'll also have to keep an eye on a few of these storms that are making their way just south of Erie, Pennsylvania, if some of this activity does hold together. If you are watching, especially in and around Panama, stretching towards Jamestown, even over towards Salamanca, in and around Allegheny State Park, we'll have to keep an eye on that last round of storms here as we go through the next couple of hours. But at least here in the near term, again, we do still have this tornado warning in place, and I'm kind of going back down through our graphics here, showing you some of the images that we do have. Here we go, taking a look around western New York. The 90 here at Dunkirk. Things are settling down for now, but I do expect another round of some showers and storms there. But boy, look at downtown Buffalo. There's some of the heavier rain, and you can see some of the water beginning to stand on some of the road surfaces. So definitely some ponding on the roadways there. But we continue to really track this right here, tornado warning, which has been issued down into areas of Cattaraugus County. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning for this same storm, and it's right here. This particular cell right here, that's where we are tracking the worst of the weather, but even north and east of it, again, definitely some heavier rain, frequent cloud to ground lightning, but it's right here where, one, we're either picking up the potential for that weak tornado, or we are picking up those damaging potential straight line winds. Again, as we continue to, this is the velocity map that we are looking at here. And what we want to see here is we want to see those bright greens right up against bright reds. That tells us different wind direction. Green represents, again, air that's going towards the radar site. Red represents air that's moving away from the radar site. We showed you a little bit ago, and if you remember, we did have some brighter reds and some brighter greens as that little couplet was crossing the 219. We still have a little bit of rotation here, but with the lack of the brighter colors really showing up here, that rotation has weakened. So hopefully that trend will continue as this radar updates here in another 5 or so minutes. And again, you can see that radar sweep actually updating right now at the moment. Again, showing us some of the thundery downpours that are making their way through the Buffalo Metro, through the north towns. Look at some of the red showing up there. That is definitely signifying some extremely heavy rain. At the moment, we do not have any warnings out of this activity. It is just a nasty thundery downpour that we have making its way through the Buffalo Metro. But again, it is to the south. That's where we continue to track not only a severe thunderstorm warning, but also a tornado warning. And as we go through this evening, the good news about all of this, things are going to be settling down here pretty quickly once this line does make its way through. Again, as we get into the 6 o'clock hour, we're going to be drying out here in Buffalo. So if you have any evening plans, we're looking good there. And by the time we get towards about 7:30, that's when pretty much everyone will begin to see things settle down. But the next roughly half hour to 40 minutes, it's still going to be quite active, especially inland areas. What helped fuel some of these showers and storms has been the warmth that's been with it. It's been a summery day here in April. We're still sitting at 66 here in Buffalo, 70 in Batavia, 64 in Jamestown. We're going to cool off as we get into this evening, and especially tomorrow as at least more seasonable weather does begin to move in there. But again, if you are just tuning in, we told you about it. It was going to be an active evening. There's a reason why we did issue a weather impact alert. And again, if you are just tuning in, the weather impact alert is just a general alert for all of Western New York and some of the active weather we're dealing with, especially with the Dingus Day festivities ongoing. But throughout this half hour, a tornado warning has also been issued here, northern Cattaraugus County. This is a very small little polygon. And again, over the last, say, 5 to 10 minutes, luckily, this storm, while it's still packing a punch, has shown signs of weakening a little bit. In fact, as you take a look at the latest radar, notice if you've been watching, we're not quite seeing those really bright, vivid reds, even out of the radar signature. So the radar itself is beginning to quiet down. However, the one thing we do still have, you see that curvature right there? Again, that is what we call a mini little bow echo, and that represents at least the potential for winds that could be gusting upwards of about 60 miles per hour. That is enough to potentially do some damage, produce some scattered power outages. So again, whether it's the tornado warning or the general severe thunderstorm warning, this is certainly a storm. Take seriously. It is heading towards Arcade, moving to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. If you are in Arcade, again, do what you could do to be safe. Take shelter, find that lowest level of your home. An interior room is best, away from any windows that potentially could break, and let that wind in. Again, you want to find that interior room, the lowest you can possibly get as this storm does move on through. Again, we do still have this tornado warning in place. It does run through 6 o'clock, so about for another 10 minutes. We'll see if it is extended. At this point, I would have to imagine, with it showing signs of some weakening, that they're going to hold it together here for the next 10 minutes or so. But in general, even as we do take a look at the latest velocities, we almost have no red showing up anymore. So again, conditions are improving here. The storm is beginning to weaken, and you can kind of see that as well. Again, what we're looking at is the velocity. We want to see those bright reds right up against the bright greens. We got some of the bright greens that's showing us some straight line winds, but we don't have those reds representing that kind of counterclockwise motion in the atmosphere, what we call that mesocyclone, that could potentially drop that circulation down to the ground. And again, for Buffalo, look at that. The rain, it's beginning to move out. So we're going to see things dry up in and around the city here over the next 15 minutes as the worst of the weather continues to make its way to the east. Clarence, get ready. Heavy thundery downpour is going to be moving in here over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as we widen out, again, behind all this, not much happening. So it's this line, this cold front that's bumping in to this warm, summery air mass that moved in today is why we are tracking some of these scattered showers and storms. And there was the potential for one or two of these to get to those severe levels and even potentially maybe even produce a small tornado. So again, as we kind of get back to it, get back to the latest warnings here. Again, luckily these storms are showing some signs of weakening, but nonetheless, for about another 8 or so minutes, we do still have that tornado warning in place. Northern Cattaraugus County, the severe thunderstorm warning, that remains through 6:30. But again, even with that activity, generally speaking, you can kind of see, if you've been watching here over the last 20, 25 minutes, we've been giving you wall-to-wall coverage with this tornado warning as we do. Again, this storm is showing some signs of weakening. So if you're in Arcade, still, again, play it safe, seek shelter, find that interior room. But the good news, hopefully the trend of this weakening will continue. Again, we're not really seeing those bright reds anymore, but we still have that bow signature here, which represents at least the potential for some of those damaging straight line winds. But as I put the velocity back on there, it would be, generally speaking, about right here is where we want to see a little bit more circulation. But we really just don't have it at the moment. Again, what we want to see is greens going one direction, and then the red color showing winds going the other direction, and we really just don't have it anymore, so there's not a whole lot of rotation left. Well, what could happen though is as these storms kind of ebb and flow, we could see some re-strengthening, so that's why they have not dropped that tornado warning 100%. They do still have that tornado warning in place. It would be for this part of the storm right there, again, as it crossed the 219. That's where we did have some decent rotation. Of course, as I just showed you, that rotation, though, has weakened, but nonetheless, we still have those warnings in place, moving to the north and east, heading towards Arcade here over the next half hour or so. And as we continue to widen out, and just like that, again, as we're coming at you with live coverage, just like that, a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. And again, that is for some of the weather that made its way through Buffalo. We're going to begin to clear out. There might be one more little passing shower for downtown Buffalo, but overall, I think for downtown Buffalo, conditions will improve. But where they're deteriorating is east of Buffalo, as this line is now continuing to move to the east. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning has now been issued eastern Erie County, pushing into portions of Genesee, Orleans, northern Niagara County. But again, we do still have also the tornado warning still in place. Again, down into Cattaraugus County, you can see that new warning beginning to populate right there. I'm going to go ahead and get over to my computer graphic, just show you real quick where that new warning is located. And again, you can see especially into Niagara County, Eastern Erie County, Orleans County, Genesee County, kind of a general severe thunderstorm warning, again, just has been issued. The biggest concern here would be some very heavy rain, but also potentially damaging straight line winds. Again, that's the same line that just made its way through downtown Buffalo. Skies are beginning to brighten back up, so hopefully things will continue to settle down, at least in and around the city. But we still have these warnings, that tornado warning in northern Cattaraugus County. It is still in place here for about another 6 minutes or so. Severe thunderstorm warnings, though, remain in place into the 6 o'clock hour. And as we do kind of dive in even more so, and as our radar continues to get updated, good news. Again, we continue to see that weakening trend, so definitely love seeing that. Nonetheless, we still have our warnings in place, but again, notice that particular storm cell that we've been tracking. We don't really have even the reds showing up any longer, and even that bow echo that I was showing it to you has weakened. It's not quite as nice and curved as you'd like to see when we do have those winds. And when it comes to the velocity, we pretty much don't even have any more rotating signature anymore. We're almost seeing no red, so we're just getting into some straight line winds out of that particular storm cell. So I would have to imagine that tornado warning will likely be discontinued here in about another 3 or so minutes once we get to about 6 o'clock. But we do have that still severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, again, for areas now east of Buffalo. And as I kind of widen out, you can kind of see that a little bit more so, especially right there along the Niagara, northern Erie County border, running right there along the rapids. Again, now pushing into portions of Genesee, northern Genesee, southern Orleans County. I think that's where the heart of that particular cell is heading. We're also going to have to keep an eye on some of this activity, again, racing across the southern tier. Warnings into northern Pennsylvania. We'll have to see if 1 or 2 of those carries over into the southern tier or potentially towards McKee and Potter counties here as we do go through the next couple of hours. For Buffalo, though, outside of maybe another brief little light shower over the next 20 minutes, we're done with the rain. We will be drying things out as all this heavier weather will continue to race to the east. But again, if you are just tuning in, you can see the active warnings that we do have, whether it's severe thunderstorm warnings or still, at least here for a couple of more minutes, we do still have this tornado warning in place. So let's get to it. One last look at that tornado warning. Again, it is running through about 6 o'clock. It would be this cell right here that has shown some considerable signs of weakening just over the last 15, 20 or so minutes. So as I do put that velocity on there for you, and it would be about right here where we would try to see some green meeting the red. We no longer have it. So again, no longer seeing that rotation. So more than likely, this tornado warning polygon will get discontinued, but we still have a severe thunderstorm warning. That remains in place through 6:30, at least for that one. Oh, there you go. Even that was just updated. That has, again, shown signs of not only weakening from the tornado warning standpoint, but even that severe thunderstorm warning looks as though that has also been discontinued. But again, we do still have some of that active weather, especially up towards Clarence, Batavia, points further to the east where we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning. But one more look kind of at that cell that did prompt that tornado warning. Technically, we do still have the warning in place for about another 2 minutes or so, but this storm has really weakened and that warning will likely be discontinued as we're no longer seeing any rotation out of that. But where we are seeing some active weather, again, look at the bright reds showing up here compared to that cell I just showed you into the southern tier. Again, definitely seeing some extremely heavy rain out of this, frequent cloud to ground lightning, and yes, the potential for some damaging winds. Notice in and around downtown, though, we are clearing out. There's one more little renegade light shower there towards Colborne, which may produce a few raindrops here as we do go through about the next 20 to 25 or so minutes. But generally speaking, things will continue to settle down in and around Buffalo, but we still have some active weather. I mentioned that warning. Well, some of the storms we'll have to keep an eye out for. Again, that particular cell does have a new warning, not quite into New York, but you can see that across northern Pennsylvania. And of course, we're on in McKee and Potter County, so we'll have to keep an eye on that particular cell. If it does hold together, we could see some warnings for some of those counties here.
Your forewarned weather forecast.
We are breaking into our regular programming because right now the National Weather Service has just issued a tornado warning. This is where this tornado warning covers. Southwestern Wyoming County in western New York, northeastern Cattaraugus County, southeastern Erie County, and northeastern Allegheny County. This tornado warning was just issued by the National Weather Service at 5:32. It is in effect for the areas that I just mentioned until 6 o'clock. Chief Meteorologist Todd Santos has been zeroing in on this area for the past several minutes. You'll notice the yellow box there. It is designating a severe thunderstorm warning. That's because hail just popped with it. And then the National Weather Service issued a smaller area of a tornado warning. And that is what Todd is trying to circle around right now. Again, this tornado warning covers people living in southwestern Wyoming County, in northeastern Cattaraugus County, in southeastern Erie County, and in northwestern Allegheny County. Todd.
All right, thanks, Dave. And I appreciate you clarifying the yellow versus the red box that you see blinking on here. The yellow box that is a larger one is a severe thunderstorm warning. It is for the same storm cell, but a little bit more specifically, down around the East Otto area, you'd want to be taking cover right now, lowest level of your home, away from windows. The expectation today was that there may be one or two of these storms where the actual parent thunderstorm may be able to rotate slowly, and then that leaves you room for potentially producing a tornado. They're called supercell thunderstorms, and they're a little bit more efficient at creating a tornado. In this case, we're looking at this storm basically tracking off toward the north and east at around 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to try to go to the velocities. They weren't showing up very well in here as far as the rotation's concerned, but basically from the East Otto to the Fox area, I would be considering taking cover around Ashford Hollow. Some of the faster velocities, at least that the radar can pick up on the way things are moving out here, are actually closer toward my mouse cursor here, which you can see just south of the Fox area, east of Ashford Hollow, moving off toward that east-northeast direction at around 35 miles per hour. So this would be time to start thinking about, the place that you want to take cover in a spot like Delavan or Lime Lake or Machias. Those areas you still have at least a few minutes to think about it, take cover, find that lowest level of your home away from windows, the safest thing you can do with this. As far as these are concerned, with these storms, we've also seen a considerable amount of rain. So likely, if this is actually producing a tornado that's reaching the ground, this is just radar indicated so far, it would be likely rain wrapped, or at least very hard to see from a number of different directions, including places like Fox. Since I had mentioned that area, you're basically just to the north of what looks to be the circulation with this. That would be a difficult thing to see because you're well in the heavy torrential rain that we're also finding here for a lot of other areas. But this specific storm cell is the one we're watching at least right now. I can put this in motion, at least just give you the last 15 minutes worth of forward motion to kind of see how this thing is progressing there. That's just the last 15 minutes you're watching with that progress. The storm cell is kind of consolidated around that area near Fox and Riceville, and it's likely the southern edge of that, those reflectivities that, which is what shows up on radar there, that you'd want to really keep a particular eye on. So again, still around the Ashford Hollow area, I would be taking cover in these spots. Sometimes these images can lag even a tiny bit, and you also have to consider that tornadoes aren't necessarily just straight up and down. This is just the type of thing where you can have a little bit of an angle to it. Things are moving quickly in the atmosphere, but this overall is the box we're watching. So the warning itself is for a good stretch of Cattaraugus County here until 6 o'clock p.m. It does overlap into places like Arcade and even far, northwestern Allegheny County, down around Rushford, near Rushford Lake, as well as the far outer edge of this. I think overall, places like Delavan and Lime Lake and Machias are areas that you'd really want to consider taking cover. Now, inside this box, there are a few other spots down towards that far southwestern edge of it that it's a little bit less of an issue at the immediate moment here. I want to see, go back to the velocity and see if you can actually see a spin there. It's not showing up extremely well, but this is 540, so that's basically within the last 18 seconds. Just trying to get a better idea. I'm looking at a bunch of different things in the background here, but I did at least want to show that it's really around this area that circulation was the strongest. Now, we'll have to keep an eye on this because on a night like tonight, this isn't the type of thing where you get necessarily the tornadoes to spin up for long periods of time. This would be the type of night where something could spin up rather quickly and then fade out rather quickly. So that's what we'll have to watch. This warning itself goes until 6 p.m. This evening. And again, it mostly is for Cattaraugus County. If you get all the way up into that edge of Wyoming County up near Arcade, that would be another spot to at least keep in mind. But in the short term here, I just want to check with, got a bunch of other sources here. I can even also watch what the National Weather Service is saying about this. And I'm just clicking over to them at the moment. I don't see anything specific with it at the moment, because because this is still what we call radar indicated. That's one of the key things with this type of a scenario. So right now it looks like it may be canceling 541. They may actually drop this warning. What you just saw on there a few moments ago with that last update around Fox, this, I'm going to animate this so you can actually see this. This is the last 15 minutes of radar. See the way that has weakened, that little cell right there rolling to the south of Riceville? They've consolidated it, and I believe it's gone away. So there we go. So that was a very short-lived spin up of rotation showing up on radar, enough to prompt the Weather Service to issue a tornado warning that has been dropped as quick as it was forming there. So I will stop this radar. I'll continue to monitor this in the background. What's this one going now? I just want to check one thing quickly because I'm still on the Weather Service feed here. I mean, this is by the minute. They issued this at 5:41. It's still 5:41 right now. And they've canceled that first piece of it, though they've kept this smaller box, at least on our graphics. And that is one thing that I need to see what they're going to do with it. Because it looked like they canceled it, and what did they do? Okay. So I'm not 100% sure that they've canceled it fully. They've trimmed that box down very quickly and left it in our system. That's an interesting one. I can't say I've ever seen that happen before. So as far as what this looks like at the moment, I'd say that the rotation itself has weakened. I'm going to take a closer look at that cell just for a moment so I can at least kind of get a better idea. Yeah, it's all moving about 41 miles per hour. That's all about right. But overall, that cell's weakened. Let's go back to what the radar looks like in that area. Yeah, there was a little appendage sticking off the bottom of this cell as it was rolling off toward the east, and there's still a little signature of that, but it does look like it is substantially weakened. So I'll continue to keep an eye on it just for a moment here, but I want to say they've gotten rid of the warning. Wow, this is a puzzling one. I've done this for over 20 years, and I've seen warnings trimmed down plenty of times, but they did issue a note in the Weather Service chat that says they canceled the tornado warning as of a minute ago when I said it live on the air for Allegheny, Wyoming, and Erie County. That's not it. This is us. Okay, hold on. A few more messages coming in. Southwestern Wyoming, Northern, that was canceled. It's canceled. It's canceled. I'm not actually sure what's going on with this box in our system. So overall, I would just say continue to keep a very close eye on this specific cell. I'm trying to clarify whether or not there's still a warning in place for it. But as I go to the most recent frame on the radar, because everything is flashing here quickly, the box is still there. So I do want to hang with this just for a moment because I feel like things are happening very quickly with this cell as it works its way toward the north and east. So still around the Riceville, Fox area, Machias, I would certainly be safe as far as that's concerned. The other box that's on there, I'll just take a moment to show this. This larger yellow box is a severe thunderstorm warning. So even in the absence of a tornado, you're still talking about room for gusts to around 60 miles per hour. I'm going to click on hail to see if there's hail showing up in here. Earlier, I had seen a little bit of a hail signature. There isn't much of one with that cell right now. So as this continues to work its way off toward the east, again, it's really that cell that's right around the Fox area at the moment that we're going to have to keep a close eye on. As far as did they change it?
That is now the
Southwestern Wyoming County. So they did change it, except that their text in here says that they canceled it. So I'm going to go with the fact that this is still active. The fact that another box showed up on here is not a coincidence. That's usually the case that something is still going on in there. So let's go back to the velocity for 1 sec and see if I can try to find something rotating in there. And I don't really see it. It is that pocket right around Fox and Ashford Hollow that looks to be the more likely area if there's a tornado being produced by this. So again, the best thing you can do in these scenarios, lowest level of your home, away from windows. They did at least narrow this box down substantially. So now it just includes this one stretch of Cattaraugus County until 6 p.m. this evening. That's it. This is a unique scenario down here. It is a little difficult to track in some areas where it gets a little bit more of rugged territory, but we are close enough to the radar that we have a pretty good read on what should be in the lower level of this storm. It's difficult to change a lot of stuff while I'm live on the air like this. This is basically what we're watching for. Room for a few storms, one off here and there to actually go severe. The severe thunderstorm warning was not much of a surprise at all, which is that yellow box that you see blinking on there. That had to do more with just the strong wind gusts in the atmosphere, the stronger wind aloft, and that's what's helping to drive a lot of these storms that we're dealing with. I'll zoom out for just a moment. Those are the only active warnings, meanwhile, there are a lot of areas dealing with super heavy rain, and you see some of those other returns showing up on the radar radar there. Also, a few more severe storms off to the south and west. The main threats this evening are wind and hail. Those are the more likely things that you're going to find out of these, and it has to do with the stronger wind aloft. And when you get some of the heavier rain, you can mix that all the way down to the surface. I'm going to continue to click back toward the velocity, because usually at least one or two of these frames starts to show a little bit better of the actual rotation itself. I'm going to change this down to see if I can go to 1 minute data and doing all this sort of live on the air. So it's going to load some of this as I talk. But here's the last 15 minutes. The warning boxes are going to move every time I animate this. That's just the nature of the way the system works. It won't just hold the current warning there. So overall, looking at this, the forward progress still continues. I don't see a whole lot of rotation with this specific cell, at least at that level. So much of this this rotation is still likely kind of more visible, elevated, higher up in the clouds. So I'm going to put on the reflectivity. You can see the actual storm cell again. Looking at that, it is moving east to northeast at around 35 miles per hour. Okay, they trim that piece back, that's fine. And that is what we're gonna have to watch, is that cell right there. And it's tricky. Let's see if I can get it. I have another radar display that I use in the background, and I'm looking on there as well briefly, just to see if there's something else to show up on there with velocity that this current system is missing, which I don't believe that's the case. Just looking at it quick. The director was actually just asking if I wanted me to show that. I can't really control it well from out on the set. I can only do that at my other desk. So I'm just going to do it this way. We'll zoom in a little closer there. This really is still the cell to keep an eye on. Again, Fox, Riceville, areas that I would say you'd want to take cover, lowest level of your home, away from windows, just to be safe. This is not one of the slam dunk scenarios where it comes to tornadoes where it's much more obvious that there's something clear there. I haven't seen anything with anybody spotting it specifically yet, so that's at least, it's going to remain radar indicated because of that. Looking at this, yeah, some of these velocities are sort of falling apart on there. They don't show up very well at the moment at all. And I'm trying to switch radars, go back to this. Believe it or not, I'm looking at a whole bunch of other things in the background all at the same time. This is classically what ends up happening. So I do not see great. Yeah, it's that same piece of the cell right there, down around the Ashford Hollow, Fox area. I'd say at this point, likely that circulation is past Ashford Hollow and Whiteford Hollow. East Otto, some of the other areas that were in the warning initially, you are in the clear at this point. That has continued to move on along the northern edge of this box. So from Fox to Riceville, those are the areas. You know, even West Valley is included in this. You're kind of on the southern edge, which is actually an area to certainly remain vigilant. And I would also say take cover at this point, because you're still very close to where this is showing up. Keep in mind, when we look at these things, when we're looking at stuff up in the clouds, we're looking at from the radar in Buffalo, which means that there is an elevation difference as far as, you know, what we're looking at. We're looking up into the clouds when we're checking out these type of storms. So I can tell you that when we're looking up here, the height of the beam is almost 2,000 feet off the surface. So that's what we're looking at here when we're kind of analyzing these storms. So we're not looking at the surface. And I think that's worth clarifying when you're talking about a tornado warning, that you can see the rotation in the clouds, but you can't necessarily see it all the way to the surface, because the radar can't see the surface, especially not from Buffalo. So looking at it here, the radar itself's not showing the velocity very clearly as far as what this looks like. And even if I switch radars, I'm only going to go farther away. But let me just try one. Well, worth doing right now. Let's just stick with where it is. So overall this evening, I'm going to zoom out just to give like an overall look at this. The other cells nearby easily moving fast enough to produce some of these stronger wind gusts, and that was the concern initially with the yellow box that's on the outer edge of this. I can pause this so you can kind of see where those two boxes are sitting right now. That is the severe thunderstorm warning. That one goes until 6:30 p.m., but the more immediate concern is this tornado warning that goes until 6 p.m. tonight. So that is going to continue to be the one we're watching, and I'm just clicking through the Weather Service data feed to see if there's anything else showing up on there. I don't see anything, so there's no spotter reports or anything like that at this point. But I do stand by what I mentioned right off the top. In these type of scenarios, it is tricky, especially with, I mean, if you've experienced any of this heavier rain earlier today, if you were in rain like that, it would be very hard to see what's going on just a very short distance. I mean, I looked out our parking lot and couldn't see, buildings across the street in some of the heavier rain. I will say that I think the cell itself looks like it's weakening slightly. That's at least one piece, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if there's rotation, it's going away. I'm trying to look at one more thing here, so I'll leave that radar up for a moment. The Riceville, still around the Fox area. I would still take cover, but I think you're near the tail end of that actual circulation with this. Just looking also to see how tall everything is out here. That will actually have a bearing on whether or not I can say it's truly weakening or not. Yeah, I mean, the tops of these things are not very... We expected the tops of the storms to be limited, but you're talking storm tops, the upper end of what the radar is even able to see right now is around 18,000 feet, maybe a few spots closer to 20,000 feet. I mean, it's not even really producing lightning, so it's a very unique scenario in this piece, just seeing some of that weak rotation, but enough to be enough to trigger a tornado warning here from the Weather Service. So that's what we're going to continue to keep an eye on. A lot of times there are some things they can see that we're not able to show on this because they don't look at a display that has all of the topography and all of the streets and everything, you know, marked on here, kind of better looking for television. But looking at it in this way, that is still around the Riceville area, a spot that I would be taking cover. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. If it keeps this track, spots like Machias would likely be better in a better scenario, but we're going to have to watch this because you can kind of see the way that's consolidated around Riceville as I animate just the last 15 minutes of it. Still pressing up toward the Delavan area. Overall, the radar reflectivities, which is what you're looking at here, the brighter colors and all that, the actual returns from the radar are slowly, looks like they're kind of consolidating and weakening a little bit, but we're going to have to continue to stick with this here. We've got about, 8 minutes, about 8 minutes left on the warning itself before this expires. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it for you. You'll notice that today has been one of these days where we've seen some cells popping up, some cells working through pretty quickly. We'll finally be in the clear on the back edge of all this. So if I zoom out for a moment here, I know this may be a little hectic looking on your screen because I'm analyzing it as I'm looking at with all of you. But if you look back into Lake Erie for a moment, you can kind of see the back edge of these showers. That is the back edge of all the activity for tonight. So once this works its way through, we'll be in the clear. But of course, you know, a lot of other areas already have seen huge amounts of rain, including up around Buffalo. As far as that's concerned, it doesn't seem to have been enough to have prompted any type of localized flood warnings or anything like that. But we'll have to keep an eye on these, at least for the next couple of hours. It does seem to be one of these scenarios where things can happen relatively quickly. And when you get just a little bit of that rotation in the parent storm itself, it doesn't take very much to put down a tornado. So at this point, we're still looking at radar indicated rotation. Looking to the south and west, I believe we're going to have another severe thunderstorm warning popping up here momentarily in Niagara County. And that would have to do more with the wind side of things, likely in the hail potential. Yep, there it is. So that just popped up. So there's your advance warning and the actual warning right there. I'm just going to pause this for a sec. The reason that I'm sticking with these storms is because of the tornado warning. So I want to continue to say that that is a piece that I'm basically waiting for each frame to come through. Let's just do one more zoom in down here. I'd say down around the Fox area, you're starting to look a lot better right now. Maybe just east of Riceville, extending toward Delavan or areas, McKinstry Hollow, even Lime Lake, I would say you'd still want to be taking cover here, keeping an eye on the situation with those. The storm itself does still seem like it's weakening a little bit. So this is what's happened today. You've had some of the storms that have held together longer, some that have basically formed and fallen apart pretty quickly. Even some of the cells that have rolled north toward Buffalo. All of this stuff from around Lockport down through the Depew area is now having some pressure from the cold front back to our west that is kind of running into that. The front right now is just to the west of Port Colborne, so as that rolls through, that is the back edge of the showers. This other severe thunderstorm warning that includes parts of southeastern Niagara County, northeastern Erie County, a good stretch of Genesee, as well as Orleans goes until 7 p.m. tonight, and that is primarily for the wind side of things. I'm just clicking on the warning. I just want to check the text really quick and make sure I'm not missing something. Yeah, it's moving east at about 30 miles per hour. And they're mentioning penny-size hail, but that's not enough to trigger a severe warning. It's mainly the wind. It's the wind gust to 60 mile per hour potential. So as this rolls through, it's just rolled east of the airport, getting into the Clarence area, say down around even Sand Hill toward Pembroke, West Alabama shortly. We'll likely get into the gust. In these scenarios, you generally feel the stronger wind gust before the storm actually gets to you. So that's one to at least keep in mind there. About 5 minutes left on the tornado warning here. It does not look like they're going to reissue it, but it's one that I'm just cautiously approaching because of the way this data had come in very quickly. And then there wasn't a lot of time to kind of react and analyze this one. So I'm going to go back to the velocity for a moment. This is just the current, or say the latest radar frame that has come through. And I can put the sweep on there. You'll see it sweep by eventually. There's the last 15 minutes. You can kind of see the progress with that. But overall, I'd say that is weakening, and that's what we're watching this storm cell do. So that could be a big positive. So again, these are the things that we keep an eye on. You don't want to ever be surprised by a tornado. On a day like this, where there's still a threat for severe weather, it is still one thing we're going to have to remain vigilant with. These other storms down, say, into Erie County, PA, and just south of Chautauqua County, we'll keep an eye on. I think at the moment, those seem to be still more of a wind threat. I'm going to click on something here just to look for hail and see if anything shows up at all in the last frame. And there's nothing showing. There's a tiny little dot up here. So that may be the penny-size hail, or pea to penny-size hail, very small, up around the Sand Hill area. That's the one in the storm in northern Erie County there, southeastern Niagara County as well. But the rest of these, it's not so much a hail core. It's more just the wind side of things, as well as that tornado threat, which at the moment does appear still to be weakening, but there are still some signatures there. There's still kind of that little bit of a hook to the bottom edge of this. It's really a weak signature, but overall, it's not something that's totally invisible. There's still something showing up there. And there is still some wind speed. So I just clicked on that. So that is what the radar sees for a wind speed at that location. Now that is aloft in the atmosphere. That is not necessarily down at the surface. But those are the type of things that we're looking for in these type of storms. So we've got about 3 minutes left on this warning. We'll get to see if they actually set it. I think they are going to expire it at 6 p.m. from what I can tell on here. Again, this is one of those great times where the National Weather Service has an open line of communication with those of us who provide this information to kind of see what they're thinking and what's going on in the background. It does look like that cell is weakened substantially as it approaches, say, the Lime Lake area. I'm going to go back to just the regular radar reflectivity. Yeah, it's really weakening quite a bit. It doesn't mean that nothing's going on there. I'll say it that way, especially in the more rugged terrain in the hills here. But overall, that is likely a good sign that the cell has been weakening as it's been marching east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Approaching Route 16 there. Of course, a lot of areas dealing with the rain side of things. Initially, there were some other places included in the warning itself. They've since been dropped out of it. The Sardinia area is just to the north of it, of course, dealing with the rain showers. Same story up around Chaffee and some of that around Arcade too. But again, you've been dropped out of the warning. It doesn't seem like this cell is going to survive that trip all the way to, say, the Delavan area. So it's good that they've been able to trim down the box. I'm happy to be able to not have too many people concerned that there may be a tornado there. But I don't see anything as far as any additional warnings with that. I'm just checking a few other sources here. Yeah, that overall is a good sign to see the radar reflectivity is back off that much. So zoom out again just to take a quicker look at this. As we get closer to 6 o'clock, if they drop the warning, we'll just go back to normal News 4 at 6. I just wanted to make sure we have a good handle on that one cell because it wasn't showing up very clearly when it first started to show up there. So you can see at least the other showers here, the other ones we're dealing with. They have extended the box east here just outside of Jamestown, say south of the Jamestown area down around Warren County, PA. So that cell as it tracks east, we'll keep an eye on it. That's mostly a wind threat. Any of the severe thunderstorms, including this one up in eastern Niagara County that's going to, in a very short time, press into western Genesee County, easily you could find a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust on the leading edge of that. So that's the concern with some of these. As you get this heavy rain, that's what the wind is doing aloft. So you actually mix that wind down to the surface, and that helps to, again, provide some of these potentially damaging wind gusts. And the severe gusts, the cutoff for that is 60 miles per hour. So basically the expectation here is that may be producing gusts that big. What we're going to want to watch here coming up in the next 30 seconds is, as we approach 6 p.m., is if that box completely drops off the Machias area. It is blinking. It is expected to drop, but I'm just waiting to see if anything else gets reissued. I don't see anything here at the moment, so that may be a big positive. And you can see even that last frame, how much that has weakened just within the warning area itself. So I'd say for a lot of places like Riceville and Fox, you're in the clear at this point. And I'd say a lot of areas here, there's just that one little corner north of Delavan to keep an eye on, McKinstry Hollow north toward almost the Delavan area. And we'll continue to watch the radar this evening for you. And hopefully we don't have anything else spinning up out there. So we're at 6 o'clock. It does look like it is going to drop, so I'm going to hand it back to Dave and Kelsey.
We are talking about Wyoming County here, and we've got that area highlighted in red from East Otto to Ashford to Franklinville to Machias to Arcade. So this is in effect for southwestern Wyoming County. This is northeastern Cattaraugus County, southeastern Erie, northwestern Allegheny County until 6 p.m. this evening. And we have got a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It's currently located over Ashford, which is right over there, and that is about 15 miles north of Salamanca. It is tracking to the east at 35 miles per hour. It may also feature quarter-size hail. Now, this is radar indicated rotation that we're looking at here. We've also got a line of thunderstorms moving north of Buffalo that are non-severe and also moving off to the east into Cheektowaga. But there is the cell. You can see it right here. Do you see that little hook? That is where we're going to be watching this tornado developing, and it is moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour. So you want to stand by, make sure that you are in an interior room of your home. Locations that will be impacted, including Sardinia, East Otto, Ashford, Lyme, Lake Machias, Delavan, Ashford, Hollow, Arcade, Farmersville Station, Yorkshire, and West Valley. Take cover now in these areas. Move to a basement, or again, if you don't have a basement, you want to be in an interior room of your home. Avoid windows. If you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. So again, tornado warning for southwestern Wyoming County, in western New York, northeastern Cattaraugus County, until 6 o'clock this evening. It's now 5:38 p.m. This is a radar-indicated storm system. So what we're looking at here is we don't have any reports yet in this area of a tornado at this time, but the radar has picked it up. So we're just going to go ahead and highlight this one more time, show you the area in red that is under the tornado warning. Okay, so we're looking at something that has been detected over Ashford Hollow. You could see Ashford right about there. And there it is. Here's Route 242, 240, and 219 for your orientation. That is the polygon that is under the tornado warning at this time. Again, this goes through 6 p.m. So I'm going to go back to the radar here to show you exactly what we're talking about, because the radar does a great job in picking this up, picking up the classic signature. You can see that signature right there. Okay, so we're looking at Holland, Route 16, Sardinia, Springville is on the backside of that, so we don't have to worry about you there. But certainly, I'm concerned about parts of Wyoming County here. There's that sort of hook signature from about Puncture Corners, close to East Arcade. And so for your orientation here, we're also looking at Java. You could be in the mix of this as well as this marches off to the east. Again, it's moving right along. It's moving to the east at 35 miles per hour. In addition to this cell featuring that classic hook, and you can really see that hook there from about Holland to just south of Java and just north of Arcade. In addition to that, we may be looking at quarter-size hail. So flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. So you need to take shelter now if you live in this area. Again, southwestern Wyoming County, northeastern Cattaraugus, southeastern Erie, and northwestern Allegheny. I'm going to mention some of these locations once again that are going to be impacted. Sardinia, East Otto, Ashford, Lake Machias, Ashford Hollow, Delavan, Arcade, that's in Wyoming County, Farmersville Station, Yorkshire, and West Valley. You need to take cover now in these areas. Again, even though we don't have a report of an actual tornado on the ground at this point, it is radar indicated, and that is the key here, because this is going to help keep you safe as we can jump ahead of the situation and take cover now. We're looking here. I'm just kind of going in for a closer look. There it is, right there. You can see that classic hook right where 98 is at this time. I would not be shocked if in this area we're looking at Chaffee Road, Couriers Road, the town of Couriers, Puncture Corners. And again, this is marching off to the east. So I would be very careful here in Java. If you are watching and listening to us now in the Java area, you need to make sure that you take cover now as this storm marches your way. We're also looking at 98 here, Southburg, in the vicinity of PD Road, Java Lake Road, all of these areas likely impacted here within the next 20 minutes, actually about 18 minutes now. Again, this is radar indicated rotation. This is a severe thunderstorm, which means it has winds capable of at least almost 60 miles per hour, and the radar is also picking up at the potential for quarter-size hail. And that can do its own damage. Never mind the potential of a tornado in this particular situation. Now, the radar updates here about every minute, and what I'm noticing here, just within the last couple of minutes, is it looks like that hook has fizzled just a little bit. That is good news. However, I call to your attention here the line of storms that is still present with this this warned setup. It is quite the line that is formed, and it stretches here from East Otto to Machias to Arcade and to southeast of Holland and down towards, like I said, Java in the vicinity of 78. Now, the good news about the fact that the hook is starting to dissipate means that perhaps we won't have a tornado in this situation, but it is still warned for, and because you've got this straight line of thunderstorms that extends from East Otto all the way to Java, you're looking at what could be significant straight line wind damage. Again, the storm is marching off to the east at least 35 miles per hour. So you could have straight line winds in association with this squall line all the way from East Otto, 219, Arcade, Java, Weathersfield. You will be in the line of these storms. And on the backside of the system, you've got some of the heavier rain, and that's also concerning because if there was a tornado to actually drop in this setup, and again, like I said, the hook is now diminishing a little bit, but if the tornado was to drop, it would likely be rain wrapped, and what I mean by that is that it would be very difficult to see. You'd probably hear it more than you would see it. So definitely looking at current radar imagery. This is right up to the minute on Super Doppler. You've got Java Village here on 78. You've got Route 98 as well, and again, that's the roads that you see right there, all in the line of fire, as it were, from this strong to severe line of thunderstorms that again is packing a punch all the way from East Otto to about 20A. Now, again, the warning does go through 6 p.m. if you're just tuning in right now. The warning does go through 6 p.m. It's about 5:44 at this time. And I'm going to show you the polygon that the National Weather Service has. Well, it looks like it's been redrawn, so that's good. It's shrunk a bit. It extends from about Fox, that would be just west of 240 here, and it extends all the way into Machias. So that is the latest. Again, it's 5:45. We will go ahead and keep you informed every stretch of the way, Michael.
Yeah, Josh, just to take a moment here, this is, as everybody knows, a pretty rural part of Western New York, but so we don't have a ton of cameras to be able to show folks sort of real time what it looks like there, but this is from the New York State Mesonet. It's a time-lapse video of the last 2 hours in Delavan, New York, which at least as of a moment ago was in that red area, and I know the polygon has moved over a little bit as the storm is moving quickly, but this is in Delavan, New York, in Cattaraugus County. We don't see even really any like heavy thunderstorms here. You can obviously see changing conditions at times. In this time lapse, you can see blue skies peeking through there, and then you get sort of some scarier looking clouds, if you will. But this is at least the scene in Delavan, New York, which is part of the focus area.
Right, and just minutes ago, Michael, the National Weather Service in Buffalo updating the tornado warning. It still goes through 6 p.m. It looks like now it is for northeastern Cattaraugus County. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Ashford Hollow, 18 miles north of Salamanca, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Again, this is radar indicated rotation, and so we do not have ground truth as of yet. But the good news is that the actual polygon, the warned area, has shrunk a little bit. It extends from Fox to Machias, as I showed you just moments ago right there. It looks to me, just looking at the radar echoes and looking at the radar signature, that it's likely that this is weakening a bit, There's a little bit of a notch here that I'm looking at. That's part of the line, part of the straight line band of thunderstorms that extends from Sheldon to East Otto. It's just moving into Arcade at this time. So you definitely need to stand by here, even if you don't get a tornado, which that's the hope, obviously, with this particular line of thunderstorms. You will be dealing with some strong and gusty winds. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. There are a number of mobile homes in this area, perhaps homes that might be damaged or destroyed because of the mobile home nature. The mobile homes do not do well in strong winds. So there will be damage to roofs likely with this line of storms, again, from Java to Arcade. Delavan looks like it's just some heavy rain and some lightning and some thunder at this time. But the tornado warning does exist here, at least for another 12 minutes or so. And again, I'm just going to reread that for northeastern Cattaraugus County. So that some of the areas, again, that we're talking about here would be into, again, not too far away from Arcade. And certainly Route 16 is going to be in the path of this. Southwestern Wyoming County, not that far off either. But this is definitely a rapidly changing situation. And like I said, the storm is moving along very, very quickly. And so, we're looking at McKinstry Hollow in the path of this storm, and again 16 as well. And it is going to be tracking off to the east and northeast and crossing through Wyoming County as well. Now, we do not have a tornado warning for Wyoming County, so that's some good news. But again, it is here. You can see the cell very, very clearly here from Fox to McKinstry Hollow. South of Sardinia, south of 39, and again, this is northeastern Cattaraugus County. So remember, when you're under a tornado warning, the potential is there, not only for the possible funnel striking the ground, but you've got the strong wind gusts, the strong straight line wind gusts that can take place. In addition, hail is likely as well. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning for now southwestern Wyoming, northeastern Cattaraugus, and southeastern Erie County. That's on the northern fringe of that line. And again, those locations that are under that warning: Sardinia, Yorkshire, Springville, East Concord, West Valley, Sandusky, Delavan, Chaffee, and Ashford Hollow. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms, so even if you're not under the tornado warning, which is right now only for northeastern Cattaraugus County, you could easily see a tornado rapidly spin up. That's what happens in these kinds of setups. So the bottom line to remember is that if you are in the vicinity of this tornado warning, which again stretches into northeastern Cattaraugus County, you want to take shelter now. Certainly remain alert of your surroundings. Take shelter in an interior room of your home. If you don't have a basement, that is the place to be, in an interior room of your home. And again, this area that I'm showing to you in red is the area that is under this tornado warning. Northeastern Cattaraugus County, from Fox to McKinstry Hollow to Route 16, not too far away from Delavan. We're just showing you the time lapse there. You can see the dark clouds, you can see the rain, what they call those rain shafts, Michael.
Yeah, the last frame now at 5:45, and we'll get another frame. These are updated every 5 minutes.
Right.
We'll get another frame in just a second, but the sky's obviously a lot darker here than they were just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, indeed. And with this, again, not only talking about that tornado that's been detected on radar, at least the rotation has, we've got the heavy rain. We've got the potential for also some hail that could do some damage too. And again, it's not just the tornado warning that I've been mentioning here for northeastern Cattaraugus County, but it's also here the region in yellow, the polygon that I showed you earlier as well. That is the severe thunderstorm warning that stretches from about East Otto to Arcade. So that would include Route 16 out of southern Erie County into Machias, and again also into southwestern Wyoming County here as well. So we're just going to go ahead here at 5:51 p.m. We do have 9 minutes left of the actual tornado warning as issued by the National Weather Service. But in looking at some of the radar indications, it would seem like this is now more of a heavy rain and a thunder situation. We've not received any reports, fortunately, yet of a tornado touching down, but that hook appears to have fallen apart, although the tail end of that system, again, this is a robust changing situation. The tail end of that system here, down towards just north of Ashford, on 240, east of East Auto, and out towards Arcade. These are severe thunderstorms that may try to put down a tornado. That's why we have to keep this warning up through about 6 o'clock. Just so you know, we are also watching a line of what are just at this point strong thunderstorms, not getting any indications of any severe thunderstorm warnings here with the line that is east of Buffalo. Certainly quite a bit of lightning to the north of Buffalo. But again, we have, in summation here, severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Wyoming, northeastern Cattaraugus, and southeastern Erie counties until 6:30 this evening. There will likely be some damage to roofs, siding, trees. 60-mile-per-hour gusts, penny-size hail. We've had, I'm just going to move the radar here so you can see it just a little bit better. Down here towards Springville, we do have the severe thunderstorm that is located there, and it is 20 miles south of East Aurora, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. All right, and I'm just getting word here of another severe thunderstorm warning. And let's see, we're gonna call that up, and that would be for Orleans and Genesee counties. And I want to make sure that I'm clear here. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Orleans and Genesee counties, actually just issued seconds ago. This is from the line that I was telling you. Again, this is a very robust situation. Things are changing very quickly. That goes till 7 o'clock this evening. And so you can see the area in question here from Clarence to Bennington to Batavia, north into Medina and Albion as well. And again, that is from that line of storms that I just showed you. Okay, so we're going to go really quick here at 5:54 p.m. We have 6 minutes left of the tornado warning that was in question, and it is still up. And again, this is for, if you're just tuning in, this goes till 6 p.m. for northeastern Cattaraugus County. A severe thunderstorm shown on radar producing a tornado, at least capable of producing a tornado, was located near Ashford Hollow, north of Salamanca by 18 miles. It is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Again, I also want to stress that nothing has been actually reported to us just yet.
Right.
So we need you, the viewers and the listeners, to be eyes and ears on the ground, do so safely. But the key right now is to take cover in an interior room. Stay tuned to us if you can on your device, and on maybe a small portable kind of television set. The good news is that what I'm seeing from this particular setup over northeastern Cattaraugus in Wyoming is that it seems to be falling apart a little bit, which is good news. But just within the last few minutes, we have that severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for parts of Genesee County, and I'm just going to do we're going to track this here together.
This is what just went through Buffalo, right, Josh? Because
yes,
we were on the air at the beginning of this half hour, and it was about as loud as I've heard the roof get here at our 7 News building. I mean, it was quite a downpour that went right over downtown, and now this is what is heading out to the east, right?
Yeah, exactly. And and this is a rapidly developing situation. The storms did not look severe at the time when they were moving into Buffalo, but they were noisy, that is for sure, and they put down a good amount of rain in a short period of time. Just putting some towns here on the radar map. 5:56 p.m. for you in Elma. Stand by there. That's right now, actually. 6:08 p.m. in Alden for this line of storms. Again, these are severe storms. The structure of the squall line to me looks like it is straight line winds that would be the main threat. Again, because they're moving so fast as the storms push forward. That acceleration that takes place also applies to the wind that'll be pushing out ahead of the line. So you could easily see some damage from that, and that's why I think the Weather Service did issue that warning here at 5:56. 6:21 for you in Bennington, 6:34 for you in Batavia. That would be the arrival time of these storms. 6:42 p.m. for you in Sweden. That would be out of our market in northwestern Monroe County. So that is the setup here right now. So just if you're just tuning in, just a quick summary here. I think they'll allow that tornado warning to expire here in the next probably 3 minutes. There it is right there in red. Again, this is northeastern Cattaraugus County from Fox to Machias, basically the heart of it in between 240 and 16. This is already moving away towards Freedom and Arcade, and that area is under a severe thunderstorm warning. The warning would mean the potential for, again, severe winds gusting close to 60 miles per hour, in addition to the fact that we could be dealing with some penny-size hail. Now, that particular, well, it looks like that warning has been allowed to expire. Okay, that's good. And the freshest warning that we have here for you is, again, into Genesee, eastern Erie, central Orleans, and also extreme northern Wyoming County. This goes through 7 o'clock. A severe thunderstorm warning, again, the potential there for penny-size hail, and also the potential for very heavy rain and damaging winds. So even if, again, the tornado warning will be allowed to expire here, I believe, shortly within the next couple of minutes for northeastern Cattaraugus. But we have that fresh severe thunderstorm warning, and it doesn't mean that there couldn't be a tornado in that kind of setup.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to watch it.
Message to people in because it's a large severe thunderstorm warning area.
It's a line.
You need to be on guard and monitoring things,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. You need within that yellow area from Orleans County to eastern, also eastern Niagara, eastern Erie, northeastern Erie from Elma to Clarence, Attica as well, Batavia as well. The bottom line: remain alert. You want to get to a central room of your home. A basement would be a good idea. If you spot a tornado, immediately get into a basement or as close to the ground as you possibly can. And again, the areas impacted with this severe thunderstorm warning include Sardinia, Yorkshire, Springville, also East Concord, West Valley, and again also with the new warning that was just issued, we're looking at Batavia, we're looking at East Bethany, Ridgeway, Alabama, Depew, Clarence, Pembroke,